It's the Lekker Rugby Pod, only on Megaphone Rugby.
Right, André, you said something about, you jokingly showed me some videos where players practice. When there's a player lying on their side of the ruck, for example, they would sit on him or sort of kneel on him and show the ref, listen, this guy is not running away and milk the penalty. But you said something this week on social media that actually slows you down. That counts against you. Which game were you referring to?
All the games, India. I'm really full of seeing this. It's a it's such a negative way to play, and I know it's some way of finding a little advantage and putting play. But we're the rules keep getting changed to get running rugby promoted, to get the ball going, moving fast, to get people in motion. And yet now it's kind of like an obstruction. Someone's trying to get out, you're keeping him in there. To me, that's a form of obstruction. And what the flip side of that coin is the fact that sometimes the attacking team would go so far as to slow down their own ball to try and trap this guy. And the refs are getting very clever with this now. They go, you put him in there yourself. I'm not rewarding that. And what you've done is you've just given the foul time to set, the defense time to set, and you're going, all right, well, we'll get him next time. But you've slowed your own ball down.
I've seen more of that, more of the referee saying, no, you're trying to fool me.
Exactly.
Don't milk it, than I have in ages. In Ireland, schools rugby, which I've been watching recently and was over there, and then now I'm watching it through their clubs up to test level. On their cleans, they're doing the sweep clean where they hit Ruck, they come in, they're taking off the airplane, not landing it. So they got the right body position, James Ryan. But then when he hits the clean target, then he starts crawling his feet around in a either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on what the line is telling him, slapping his bum. And that actually creates a lot of space without the appearance of holding someone in. It ends up taking everyone with him. And so it's a very active clean. The clean is not completed by just hitting the rib and moving, but it's actually then sweeping out. So there's all these different ways, MVA, on trying to create quick ruck ball, but also milk a penalty, but not look like you're milking a penalty. So the game within the game.
Harry, you mentioned that the Irish were the kings of the croc rolls, and now that's outlawed. So this is sort of what they're focusing on, what they've replaced it with.
Yeah, it's not an insult. It's just that if you come to clean a ruck and there's a big boy, there's Flip van der Merwe, how do you clean him and his big bum out of there if you're a skinny, tall guy? And so guys like James Ryan had developed the benign version of the croc roll. I'm not trying to damage you, but just can I get you around your ribs in a bear hug and then roll? And I roll with you and then take it away. And so because of the resulting injuries that were happening to lower limbs, they outlaw it. So cleverly, and Ireland's being very clever right now and solving problems this way, is they just lengthen the ruck from the defensive side. We've always talked about how New Zealand will take you beyond the ruck and make the ruck bigger on the other side and take more people out. So Owen Franks was good at that, just kind of scrumming you with him, beyond the ruck into the oblivion. Now you just hit your ruck target. You don't offend. There's no croc to it, but then you just sweep your legs behind you, almost like you're doing a plank, but you're running, and then you sweep around you, and then your 9, Jameson Gibson Park's going to tell you which way he wants that. Highly communicative, very ingenious, nothing illegal about it, and very smart. And what it does is it creates quick ball, but it also gives you potentially a clean penalty where the ref thinks, oh no, yeah, the guy was there. He was part of the impeding process.
But you neatly segued us into Ireland. You talked about the Ruck King, you talked about tall, skinny guys. When I think tall, skinny guy, the first guy I think about is Prendergast, Sam Prendergast. I mean, and André, you've gone to a lot of trouble with this Wales Ireland game. I know I bowled both of you a bit of a curveball because we were initially going to do Scotland versus England, or England versus Scotland, and I just thought, no, I want to do this one. So I just upset the apple cart completely. So André, what did you notice? What should we be paying attention to, and where do we start?
Yeah, India, you put a little Yorkie in there, but
a googly man,
Harry,
a googly.
I knew Harry would be up for it. So, but I've got a couple of clips here. What I thought we'd do is we'll have a look at obviously Wales, the attack coach has taken over, and it's it's a kind of a new broom, and it's sweeping a bit cleaner than the old one, so to speak. And have a look at just what I would actually like to do is just show Wales attack at the moment. And there were certain opportunities that they created that they didn't take, and I think within the next couple of tests they'll get better, the organization will better. But then I'd like to focus on Ireland a bit and just show people why they are such a well-oiled machine when it comes to their attack and their defense, so to speak. And their kicking game is phenomenal. They've just got everything down to a T, and nothing's left to chance. And the amount of hard work that goes into this, well, they don't like to call it a shape that they're running, but they're running some form of shape. But the way that players adapt to different pictures is actually phenomenal. I don't know what you think about that, Harry.
Yeah, no, it's interesting when you go up against Ireland. They're at the point now where they don't have to care so much about what you're going to do. If they do what they're supposed to do, it's battle tested. It's like a tank that can run in the mud. It doesn't have to be perfect for them. They can adjust. And also, when they substitute players, whether it's Osborne or Conan, they actually fit right in. There's a system in place. So it doesn't really fall off. It's Ryan Bird, it's Peter Armani. It doesn't matter. That's the sign of something that's been built, that's ready to go. So I can't wait to hear what you're going to say about the Irish machine, because I've been sort of obsessed with it. I've been studying it since 2022, 23, and trying to find the facets that make the 17-game winning streak. Now they're on a 6-game winning streak. What is it? And so I can't wait to hear that. My take on Wales is it's just fascinating to see, Warren's Wales, and now Jockey Ball. Sherritt's called Jockey. It's his nickname. Warren's Wales was lost in gain line, the worst in dominant carries, the least evasive, except in press conferences. No scrums, won with penalties, committed the fewest tacklers. None of their line breaks had turned into tries, 2 entries per game. How do you, in 2 weeks, change that into running 50 more meters than Ireland, throwing 90 more passes than Ireland, beating 20 more defenders than the best attacking team going in the North, winning line break 6-2. And so I've got some theories around that, MV, we can cover after Andre's pictures.
Just on that subject, it wasn't 2 weeks. The last game was 2 weeks ago, but he still coached last weekend. And then he only started this week with them.
Yeah, he comes from Galway, and apparently, this is my inside information. He comes in from Galway. He's a tracksuit coach. He's not a suit coach. He's a whistle guy. He's collecting loose balls in the practice guy. But the emotion, like he was crying in the bus on the way. He couldn't even call his wife. The telling the players what they're going to stand for. Like Wales will stand for this. Telling the guys to be braver, make more mistakes. Yeah, make more mistakes. At the end of Warren's tenure, players were too worried about being cut for making mistakes. And the problem then is you have these second lines. You have a 9 running across the field and looking for a big forward, and then a forward at the back, and then behind them you have the 10 and 12. But if everyone's too worried about taking the safest option in that, it becomes super predictable. You can just, every defense coach knows how to tackle that. The decoy doesn't look like a decoy because the decoy is thinking, don't give it to me, don't give it to me. So Sherritt was telling everyone, I want you to be braver. I want you to go harder. If you're a decoy, I want you to go like you're going to get the ball, And this is execution. And so it's interesting that you have that. The other one, though, of course, is selection. And so he just said to Adam Jones, Hair Bear, Bucky's best friend, you pick the front row. So he comes out with, this front row that was Nicky Smith, Elliot D, and Wilgriff John. Wilgriff John, 2 caps, 3 caps 3 years ago. They had 3 straight scrum penalties against Ireland. That changes a game. That changes if you give a coach anything before the match and say, hey, I'm going to give you 5 scrum penalties, versus 5 line breaks. I mean, I might take the 5 scrum penalties because it gives you a base from which to enter the 22. And so there's all these, common sense selections, having a 10 at 10, Anscombe, someone he played with at Cardiff, even the backup 10 played with him at Cardiff, Max Llewellyn at 13, and Ben Thomas, who kind of was thrown into the fire by Warren at 10. Now he's at 12. Everyone in the proper position. And then these, firebrand young guys on the edges. So I thought it was interesting that how much can happen in 1 week.
Harry, just on the Welsh selection, do you think we'll see Louis Rees-Zammit back in a Welsh jersey?
Oh, what a poignant moment. Ellis Me, is 2 millimeters away from scoring a try, which at that moment in time would have literally made the whole match on a razor's edge. You're talking 18-all, 21-18. Someone scores in the corner like that with like 6 minutes to go, and they show LRZ Zammit in the stands with his mom or something, and he's screaming, "No, it was a try," because the ref had given it as a try, and so then the TMO had to say was a compelling evidence, which I thought was actually kind of marginal, really. If you phrase it that way, you phrase it the other way, then sure.
The longer you look at it, the worse it got, eh?
Exactly, yeah. So and also the field is this crown, so you're looking at a sort of a video from behind the poles, and so it all looks short. And I thought, Louis Rees-Zammit there, he could have been so good in this kind of, resurrection. And he's part of the story of why people weren't excited about Wales rugby, because, if you're bright young stars leaving, being a practice squad for Jacksonville or Nashville and getting no minutes and realizing at some point that you're playing in a skill position that you'll never catch up. You're forever behind, It's like MV, told you the story. The Soviet car engineer goes to Japan in 1991 and finally asks the Toyota guy, "How far are we behind here in Russia making cars?" And the Japanese guy goes, "You're forever behind." I don't know if Louis can catch up with guys who've been playing since they were 6 on getting open on go routes in the NFL. I mean, it's difficult. It'd be like someone coming from the NFL and trying to be André Pollard. I mean, it's hard to catch up with that level. I would love to see him because I think he's uniquely a rugby player. He's got the right skills for rugby, the foot, the speed, the hands, all that. But it was just sad to watch him reduced to being a guy yelling at a ref in the principalities.
Yeah, true.
Okay, André, what have you got lined up for us there?
Right, Mb, I think let's start with the Irish attack and kicking game. Okay, we'll start with the Ireland line-out attack, and right off the go, you see them. They start with a wing as first hands, which then loosens up their 10, their ball player, to get that out the back ball, and a characteristic trait from their attack is the connection of their active pivots behind the pods that are running with the ball, and there's no difference here. You'll see how close he stays to them, which means that these defenders can't go anywhere. You can see that there's a bit of a ruck miss there. Van der Vlier gets in there, but that's quick, clean ball. They play it short. One more, and what they're trying to do on this one, MVA, is they're trying to trap Welsh defenders in this 15 and then coming back. Now you'll see some of it on this first side, but the work that Osborne and Lowe's doing, have a look at them running off their wings or off that wing to be an option in the next phase is phenomenal. And again, Prendergast very connected to that pod. They like to play off 9 off wide rucks. Out the back, bit of a fumble, and the space is created in that one. Now I think, again, they've got a good appreciation of where the space is. Little kick through, they've got an attacking line out within that 22. But if we can go to that sequence off the back, just have a look at James Lowe and Osborne at the back here, working off their wings, and they're actually the ones that have to get their ball. If they had one more pass, there's space created, and that is so well drilled. And like we said, it's a well-oiled machine, and everybody knows their responsibility within the shape. On the next one, you'll see Prendergast and Osborne always fishing behind the ruck, especially inside the 22. So if anything opens up, they can go to that side. But the reason I want to show this clip is that they decide isolated runner. Have a look at how quick that ball's available. There's nothing in the playbook about this. There's just kop af en dryf, like the old Volbaard man, getting into space, and whoever's closest has to react to that. Gibson Park does amazingly well to get that ball away, and they score off that one. All right, so like as Harry just noted, this was from a 50-22 kicking play, working the ball off the back, dummy maul. And what I'd like you to notice here is the various angles with which they attack the line. They're going to this piston type play either side of the ruck, but it's never the same guy, a pot of three, the guy in the middle getting the ball. First one is a wide runner on the blind side. Next one, close runner, open side. Hitting wide runner again onto that little edge. Already got the advantage. And Gibson Park, it just shows the versatility of their attack. James Lowe, great skills, and the score of that. Now the thing with that is, Envia, that doesn't just happen. That's everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do, and for you to have, and maybe that's the advantage of having a centralized type of system, because that pod with the connected pivot behind, that looks similar to all the Irish teams. Leinster run the exact same thing. So it's not different in which team you play. And when you get to Ireland, obviously, it goes to the next level.
Yeah, the things that stood out to me, it's kind of like confirmation of what your eyes were seeing, André. These are fantastic vignettes kind of the attack. But one thing is they speed up when they get into the 22. It's go time. They always go. They're always at least 85, 90%. You know, cannot play 100% all match. But they, as a team, corporately speed up anytime they're in position for one of their key starter plays. And so that's something like MV, and you and I have talked about the Bulls, ad infinitum, is why do you grind down when you finally get a good set? Why is everyone talking, huddling? There's no need to huddle in Ireland. They know exactly in that kind of scenario painting where we are now. So Conan, a great carry by McCarthy, wonderful presentment, I'm going to point out. And every one of the things you showed, they take great care to present well. You know, how many times have you hated your own team getting on attack and then sloppy presentment, the ball comes off a foot here, there, and then it's gone. Jameson Gibson Park doesn't even have to look at the ball because he knows where the ball is going to be. He's literally looking up and finding Conan on a good line. And the third thing is how clumpy, sorry for the technical term, but how clumpy the attack is. It comes in bunches. It's very difficult to defend 4 guys running at you in one when they can all touch each other. I mean, who do you tackle? Where do you go without infringing and getting into, and also you're making the ref make a call there. Is it obstruction or not? It's marginal. A lot of that stuff looks like blocking. But if you always have your 10 and 15 connected and you have a pod forward behind him or next to him, that's super brutal to defend. And it forces the defense into a skinny posture where now the gap between your third channel defense and your wing is giant. And so you look at that and say, as long as Jameson Gibson Park and whoever's calling from behind, maybe it's nobody, maybe Jameson just reads it, they always know where to go. And it's always the most awkward phase to defend. We saw that in Durban on a try. We saw that in Loftus as well, is these moments where it feels like they go right up the middle, and then if you mass to defend them, they're going to go wide anyway. So they're going to score one way or the other.
Harry, is that the diamond pod you were referring to? That sort of looks like.
And Andre, you talked about before we got on the idea of there are some attack schemes and positions on the field that are that good where it's a little bit indefensible as long as they execute, and you've created the right space, you're gonna score. Do you feel like Ireland is the best at creating those right now?
I do, and it's just their discipline to get into position and to overload certain areas of the field. It takes a lot of hard work, Harry, but they know where to go.
Yeah.
If anybody can beat Usain Bolt, if they know where to go and he doesn't, you're going to be slow if you don't know where to go. They know exactly where to go, and he's just you've got live options all around. Gibson Park is making decisions on the run. Like you said, the ball's presented beautifully, but he's making decisions on the run, and there's live options. So that clumpy bunch that's running up, they're all expecting the ball. Now, as a defender, if you're watching ball and you're watching eyes, and guys are watching the ball hands up, you can't leave him.
Yeah.
Which in turn gets you narrow, it gets you focused, it gets you man focused, which gives weak shoulders, and then just that snowball just becomes bigger. Then the presentation is really good again, defense doesn't get set, etc., etc.
And I've been hearing what was tiring to the Irish players when they had a bit of a lull in the autumn series was the work that's involved, to your point, of being a proper, credible decoy is so hard. James Ryan running 7 or 8 times as a decoy and only getting the ball once. There's a temptation on the 7th decoy run not to look like much of a decoy. And so they said that, guys like Ty Furlong, Andrew Porter, James Ryan, big boys, it's really tough to keep doing that, presenting yourself as a fake. And but that's the key. That's the key for misdirection because they don't have gain line monsters in the same way that but we do, French do, and All Blacks do.
Right. What's next, André?
Right, MB, I think the next one is we can have a look at Wales' attack. And interesting part there is that when they play off 9, they're actually a lot more effective than when they play off 10 for that first ruck. Now you'll see the Irish play off 9 most of the time there. That pass is shorter, which means the ball's not in the air as long and the defense can't get to you as easily. But when you're playing off 10, that pass is a bit longer. And you'll see in the clips how that affects the way that you engage on the contact line. So the first clip is probably just to show, there's a couple of clips where the attack was really good, but the first clip is just to show a bit of unorganized attack, players not certain where to go. Line out off the top, great carry into the vacuum, and now they've played this play. It's kind of like a triple blocker play, and you'll see there guys running into the same channel, and the detail's not as great. And even after that, they hold on to this one, and then from there. And obviously there'll be a couple of new things going, but just if you compare this to what we saw in the previous clips, it's just the organization of the Irish is so good, and that's probably something that the Welsh have got to look at to ensure that they take advantage of good lines being run and everybody being a live option, like we said. Because remember, this is one where they get that triple blocker play right, and their organization is quite good, and they take advantage. But one thing to mention here is when they play off 10, it seemed like the Irish got them a lot further behind the gain line. Now, the reason for that is because of the 2 passes. The ball's in the air twice, and while the ball's in the air, there's no threat, which means that the Irish can just rush up and catch them way behind the advantage line. But what that does do is it's a bit further to fold. You get quick ball and you catch these folders staying very narrow, and you can then pick these defenders off with those blocker plays. And Wales actually do it quite well here. There's the first one, second one, and they create the space with the offload.
Lovely.
It's a great watch. Especially, I mean, a double blocker play is good, but once you see this, everybody's into the line, getting people to sit down, and they create that little 3-on-1 on Gibson Park. So it shows you that there's something going on there. They know what they want to do, and obviously they haven't had the amount of time to perfect it yet. But there's definitely an improvement in that area. Now, if we take a closer look at playing off 9 or 10, just look at the depth. That's close to 10 meters behind. That's 10 meters behind the advantage line. He takes a standing ball and he makes the pass, and look at where the contact is. Then they go off 10 again and a wide pass, and they get caught way behind the advantage line again. So it just feels like playing off 10 from that first ruck is putting them under pressure for that second phase. Another example, this is one where they actually play off 9 out the back, and look at the space that they can create. Just because that first engagement is closer to the gain line, guys have to look at those pods, be committed, and that creates the space for these boys on the edge.
Yeah.
Getting to the edge again. Play off 9. Can't contest that ruck. And when they play off 10 off that second one, because it's a motion. Now, that's one thing that the Irish do quite well. If we look at, if we compare these two, they get into motion on that second pod. And when they get into motion, look at how these players cannot move off that pod. They have to get stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
You got one coming across, and obviously Prendergast get done here on the outside.
Speed.
And it's a great finish. It's an absolute perler. But again, playing off 9, first ruck. Playing off 9 in that first ruck. No contest, quick ball. Playing off 10, engaging that middle. Having people sit back on their heels opens up that wide, and then that finish is just sublime.
Yeah, to me, it looks like the engagement of power then frees up the speed on the outside. Murray and Rogers, both quick boys. And I like the Welsh pattern being a little bit different from some of the other test teams where you have 9 wandering. He picks up, and then he kind of gets 3, 4, 5 meters away from the ruck on a diagonal, almost 45 degrees. And then when he shoots ball, he's going short ball off 9 to a power carrier, but he's got another forward as well. So he's got 2 options, and that keeps the Irish interested. The Irish have to stay interested in that moment. One short, one at the back, but it's forwards. And, whether it's Wainwright, whether it's Morgan, whether it's other big power carriers, you have to respect it. Falatau. The forward gets it. He can dig at the line a little bit on a 45, and then he plays it out the back. And then he can come to Anscombe for a kick or Evans. I think that's the order that the Welsh look better at, André. It's not the classic look, but I think it works for them better now to dent the line and have 2 forwards, 2 choices out the back, and now you can gauge your speedsters.
Yeah, and I mean, when they play off 9, the longer they play together and the longer they start implementing or keep implementing the system, 9's going to become a lot more of a threat, which probably puts 4 guys as an option going towards line, and it look a lot like that Irish clip, and I think that's probably what they want to get to. The other thing is that and it's most teams get this, when your outside rucker is blasting people away, kind of sweeping like you spoke, cleaning deep. It's quick ball, it's slow fold, and that puts teams' defense under pressure. But when guys are just running into double hits, your outside guys is not winning that ruck in the air. He's probably trying to tackle the tackler instead of, enforcing and promoting quick ball. That's when your attack starts going backwards. That's when the ball starts slowing down, and that's when you start getting into that kind of zigzag type play, looking for forwards and runners where defenses are just set against you.
Yeah, and to me, and there was one attack out of the 8 that I tried to line out for Wales, where they went all the way to the right and all the way back to the left. I think that was where me almost scored. And what I got from it was respect. The Welsh, for the first time in the tournament, made another team respect their attack.
Yes.
And they did it by having, you had to respect the 9. You couldn't just play off of him. So you could get no inside pressure. And then you had to respect that he had 2 choices. And they dented it enough where on the ensuing ruck, it was quick by nature because none of the Irish boys wanted to be part of the ruck. You could see they all started jogging out because they knew we're going wide. And so the constant motion and I don't know what to call it, but the momentum gathered from each ensuing phase made them have to respect the space. I don't think any team in the world defensively enjoys that because you're backpedaling and you're running and someone's telling you to fold. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. And it felt like that was the only moment in a long time where I saw Ireland under stress and not panicking, but they were under stress.
I want to ask something quickly. The fact that they got a red card, yellow card turned into a 20-minute red card, did that play a role in how effective the Wales attack was, firstly? And secondly, André, Aki came on and he sort of turned the game around for Ireland. Is there a place for a 20-minute red card, or is it not a good thing?
No, we want to see 15v15. We want guys to be punished, but we want to see 15v15. And also, you see a lot of teams, and it's a big trend, and Harry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that teams that get yellow cards for the next 10 minutes, every player goes up 2-3%, and they play better because they know, mindset-wise, they know they need to do more. And you see a lot of teams improve. So to put teams under pressure when they are under the stress of a yellow card, you still need to play well. You still need to get the ball into space. You still need to look after the ball because a lot of teams, when they've got yellow card protocols. You want a lot of time between in off play. Once there's a scrum, you're looking for a reset. You want to take your time on penalties. You want that time to go through, and you want to get the ball back because once you control the ball, it means that they haven't got the ball inside that yellow card time. So teams tend to give more jackal pressure. They lift their game in that part. So for Wales to attack better in that part means that they had to play better.
Yeah, so 3 years of cumulative stats only between Six Nations and Rugby Championship, or between those 2 comps on cards, effective cards, far less effect than people realize. It was basically 50-50, and if anything, it was in favor of the teams that were carded. One theory about it is that the teams that get the benefit of the card suddenly become lazy and they have white line fever from 22 meters out and start, thinking we have to score, and the overlap is not necessarily there. Sometimes the best play against a short team, a man down team, is to go up the middle. In fact, it's actually counterintuitive, but it's like to play even tighter and keep maximizing the positions in which you're under, whether it's a scrum or a set piece, because that's where you'll find the overlap. The other thing is, like you say, people look at each other and say, "Oh, now we're 1 man, 2 men down. We got to, this is your moment." But cards don't ruin matches. The debate about whether the red 20 should be a red in a situation like this is, it definitely is a good faith argument. MVA. Ringrose came in without a stutter step. He didn't do any pause. He came in all the time high, wrong head, wrong side. So he did everything wrong. Not foul play like gouging, tripping, punching, but it certainly was forever illegal, and comes in and blasts it. Now, that's what he's been doing at Leinster all season. That's the Nienaber effect. Sign your name, make the tackle, big hit, etc. But it did look like it made the attacker into a target of head to head. And so you shouldn't legislate or draw laws from one incident, because the one who's on the wrong side of the incident will always be like, all the way over here. And right now, Wales is like, no, we have to have the full red. But the only time that reds really take effect is if they're early in a match. So then you have the whole match for that disadvantage to accrue. And so the awkward thing about this one, Envia, was that Bundy Aki ended up being virtually the man of the match. So that's what rubbed the Welsh the wrong way. Like, geez, the guy comes in and he takes over. This was a Bundy Aki kind of match, because it ended up being really street brawl, 18 all deep. Yeah, he is a proper player. Definitely going to be the Lions 12. The arguments about how we should card and what they should look like is for another day. But I think one of the things that they messed up a little bit was that they called it the same color from the jump. So now we always, when the ref says red, they just say red, and it goes to bunker, it's red. And now you know that it's going to be very, very difficult to imagine a proper red. Like, what is that? I would suggest it's old school punching, like elbowing in the face. It's going to be rare that you get the full red anymore. It's going to have to be what we would call really dirty play.
Lots of talk about Sam Prendergast being targeted by Wales for his defensive frailties. I don't want to step on any toes here. What was your impressions of him? Because I remember seeing him playing for Leinster here at Loftus 2 years ago when they were whooped by the Bulls. I don't know, 63-7 or something. What do you think of Sam Prendergast and his current form? Is it too early for him? Should have played a Crowley maybe, or a Frawley?
It was a bit of a Crowley match, but that's not necessarily what Ireland would have expected. Going into this match, it would have been almost tailor-made for Sam. The good things on Sam, his kicking is majestic. He had a 50-22 that it's almost difficult to imagine a better 50-22. And what a weapon a 50-22 is if your lineout's functioning. It's the easiest entry ever, and it's so deflating when you're the team against which a 50-22 comes, especially if it's from the distance that he can do. I haven't seen someone besides Mornay Steyn able to spiral punt a rugby ball that well in ages. Directionally, one hop, backspin, topspin. But of course, any young player like that with long limbs is going to look a little bit ungainly. If one strength about Wales is they have really hard-nosed loosies who can get to a 10, and they got to him. They got to him on the loop, so his loop was cut off, and that kind of messed him up a little bit. And then I think they just try to put a head on him, a hit on him, a body on him on every kick. So even if it was, not full follow-through tackle, it was a bit like Peter Stiff toy on George Ford. Just always make someone around you. You start to play a bit worse. I don't know. I mean, to me, Sam looks like the real deal. Looks like someone who could even get a shout for the Lions. Finn Smith is also looking good for England. So there's a lot of young talent there. But I mean, this is part of the growth process. I just happen personally to think that Jack Crowley would be a perfect kind of street brawler for this kind of game. Take it into contact, no fear. It might have been interesting to see if it was reversed and then have Sam finish.
André, what do you think?
Funny you should ask. I cut some clips of him that we can have a look at, but just before we get there, I think just on your point where maybe it's a Crowley game or what, I think Prendergast still ran the game well. That middle corridor in terms of line-out defense is a tough place to defend, and that's why a lot of teams take the 10. They put him out or on the outside. They'll have a wing defend in that space. And England took Finn Russell to the cleaners in terms of that. They were running into holes there. So I think if Prendergast is not going to make his tackles there, they need to have a look at maybe when he plays, change his position. If it's not gonna improve, because at test level, they'll find it and they'll go there every single time if they know it's gonna reap rewards. But I think to me, he looks like the real deal. I love watching him play. He's just got that calmness about him. He's, like you said, he's got that spiral. I think Ronan O'Gara was the last guy I saw that could spiral a ball into the wind and have it one bounce out. And then, he's attacking. He bends the corner well. He's got soft hands on the pass. He's just a footballer. I think just to set the tone, yeah, I've put this clip first. A little bit of skill, knock on from Ireland. He knows that, and then just cheekily clips the ball up, picks it up. Little goosey there onto Anscombe, and as he runs forward, you see this better from the back. He just puts the ball down and he drops it over the posts. So it's a skillful footballer, this guy.
He's just showing everyone what he can do.
Yeah.
Exactly. On his kicking game, I mean, there's no space for this little cross kick, and he finds it with such precision, with pressure. And that's why I say I think he was the perfect guy for this test. And just again, the awareness of what to do after they get that ball, Hansen putting the ball at the back, and Wales immediately under pressure. Another reason is his calmness under pressure. Big chase, just steps on the inside. One thing I haven't seen, Harry, is does he kick off his left foot?
Yeah, he's 2-foot guy.
I mean, that just takes him to another level when the pressure's on. Great little skill, stop there, and then even has a couple of steps, get the high tackle from there. And this was quite special. You'll see him spiral bomb, ball up in the air, and you could just see nobody wanted to catch that thing.
No,
That's a
not me.
difficult kick.
Not mine, yours.
That's a difficult kick. And then probably about 52, 50, 53 on the angle. Just so calm, great strike, and he's got meters to spare with that kick. Yeah, he's fun to watch, and the calmness. I remember him playing in that. I think it was his debut test that he played, and just the confidence that he exuded, and the way he plays the game. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's these are good problems. It's almost like if you talk to people in Ireland, they have pretty strong opinions about it, and part of it rests on the fact that Jack Crowley did nothing wrong. Like, it wasn't like he did something wrong and then now he gets dropped and this guy comes in. It's more that you have two options and they're very different. They are the polar opposites of how long they pass the ball. Sam throws the longest ones, Jack the shortest. The tightness of the spiral. The spiral bomb kicks, whereas Jack Crowley is good at the grubbers, the chips. In terms of having to move around to take him out of defense, you don't have to do that with Jack. He defends like a 12. But on the idea of finding creases and seams that no one else can find, that's Sam. So it's really like you have two different punches. And then at 9, you have the same thing right now with Conor Murray and Jameson Gibson-Park. So Ireland is, spoiled for riches here. They can throw different looks at you, and it's very interesting to watch. It all sets up, of course, via the cataclysmic decider, round 4, France versus Ireland. Everyone wants this. If you're a proper rugby fan around the world, even if you don't give a fig about these two teams, you want to see this match because it's a classic clash of styles, and it sets up for everything, right? Because if Ireland stubs their toe at home against the French, who are looking pretty scary, the hated England sneaks in the back door. So yeah, Six Nations is quite interesting this time.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it took me a while to get into it, but now I get the nuances and everything. And doing this analysis, André, thanks for all the trouble you went to at such short notice. I appreciate it, Harry. You as well. I mean, this is just fascinating. I love doing this kind of thing. I think we should do it a bit more. What do you think, Harry?
No, I like it. I like the idea of showing what the difference is on lateral plays where it looks like it's counterproductive. But the idea of, like what you showed, that's two passes getting them so far behind the gain line, and the inability to escape this umbrella defense coming and rushing at you. Yeah, it makes watching the game more fun. I don't know about you, MV, but I like watching the game. looking at these little patterns. And now I want to apply that same thing to see Ireland versus France. Like, how will the French kick around that? Who gets picked? I think it's fascinating now from both teams is who do you want to be the game managers in the final 20?
It's the Lekker Rugby Pod, only on Megaphone Rugby.